30 years ago, I saw the start of the Whitley Awards. Those people working with dedication and courage at the sharp 30 years ago, I saw the start of the Whitley Awards. Those people working with dedication and courage at the sharp end of conservation caught my imagination. I gave what help I could. Now the Whitley Awards have emerged as a preeminent award for any conservationist to win. The Whitley Award winners combine knowing how to respond to crises, yet also bring communities and wider audiences with them. Together, they have protected vast swathes of the world's natural habitat. I wish that I could say that we don't need this kind of protection anymore, but I know that this is not the case. We need the work of the Whitley Award winners to succeed, and we need to help them to whatever extent is possible.
Your Royal Highness, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your hosts for the evening, Kate Humble and Tom Heap.
I don't know about you, but I always look forward to seeing my first bluebell of spring or hearing the first cuckoo, which I heard last weekend. Because they lift you up, they buoy you up, they give you hope. Spring is here. And the other thing that does that is this evening. And here we are, 30 years on, still doing magnificent, magnificent things. So welcome, everybody, to the 30th anniversary of the Whitley Awards. Now, as you saw from the opening video, they have been supporting incredible conservation leaders to protect our planet for the past 3 decades. And tonight, we couldn't be happier to be celebrating this milestone, as well as this year's remarkable new winners, who you will all meet shortly. And once again, I'm thrilled to be sharing the stage with my wonderful co-host, Tom Heap.
Well, hello, Kate, and welcome to you all. I'm delighted that you're all here, and not just here, but also out there in streaming land. This is being live played on the net, so welcome to everybody in the hall or without. And as Kate has just suggested, this event is always one of the most uplifting nights of the year. And to kick off the special celebration this evening, let's hear from WFN founder Edward Whitley and the one and only Sir David Attenborough about how it all started.
2023 is the 30th anniversary of the Whitley Awards, and we wanted to mark this moment in our history with something really special. What could be better than an interview with our most distinguished trustee, Sir David Attenborough? Sir David generously agreed, but niftily turning the tables on our plan, he set just one condition. He himself would be asking the questions.
How has the conservation world changed in the last 30 years that you've been there amongst it?
Well, the conservation world has always been struggling with how to deal with the future. The imperative to set up the charity was looking ahead to the next generation. The birth of our 4 children, Ella, Honor, Josie and Ned, I felt I had to do something to protect what I could for their future.
You wanted to do something different. How did you go about sorting out what that would be?
Well, I thought that I should try and do something where the local people were involved, because I thought that they would be instrumental to long-lasting and sustained conservation success.
It would give me the jim-jam to think of setting up a trust worldwide. Where did you start?
I set up a system whereby I thought if we can transfer money to where the need is greatest, so that biodiversity is the highest, and then the money will go furthest. I thought that was a good starting point. And then I thought we have to find winners, and we wanted to make it an award to celebrate the work they're doing.
One of the key important things which your organisation has always highlighted is that the expertise is in the community, the local community.
That's absolutely right, that people look at the conservation world and they often think it's a broad conservation effort for species or for habitat. but at the heart of it are local communities, and our winners are embedded in their local communities, and they find answers which are perhaps not obvious to outsiders.
So they already had the knowledge. It wasn't us coming to tell them. They already knew.
They already knew half the answers, and making it an award, it increased their profile, giving them access to political circles they might not have had access to. So they moved from being regional leaders or local leaders to becoming national leaders, and eventually over time some of them have become international leaders.
You invited Princess Anne to be the patron when you were still quite young as an organisation.
Yes, she's been our patron since 1999. She's helped transform the charity. The picture of Princess Anne with our winners time and again is the front page news of the national newspaper of the country where our winners come from. She's never missed a single award ceremony over 23 years.
The award has created a sort of Freemasonry of experienced, successful conservationists worldwide who I know talk to one another.
Once you've won an award, you're part of our network of winners, and so we offer continuation funding. Conservation is that funny thing whereby the need is very, very urgent, but actually to succeed, it's got to be done on a sustained and long-term basis. Paula Kahumbu in Kenya, as a young scientist, we identified her as an absolute potential high flyer. We gave her an award. 5 years later, continuation funding. She's grown her charity. She's become the national voice of conservation in Kenya.
How did you raise the money in the UK? You must be very persuasive.
Well, the winners do the persuading. We see ourselves as a fuse box. So what we try and do is introduce our winners to our donors, and our donors to our winners, and they forge a relationship as well. We're very light on our UK overheads. Donors can see value for money because they can see where their money is going and they can see the impact that's having.
And do they maintain the connection worldwide?
They do. They maintain the connection through us, and the donors have also gone through several generations themselves. So we have long-standing donors over 30 years whose children have now grown up, and they are also continuing the family donations through us. So we have a growing circle of donors who feel very connected.
It must be a marvellous thing to see the seed that you planted 30 years ago produce this great organisation, which now has a worldwide connection.
Over the 30 years now, we've funded 200 award winners working across 80 countries. So there is this network of winners who now reinforce each other, help each other, advise each other. We've grown from giving £15,000 a year to giving over £1 million a year, and now we've raised about £20 million. As we look ahead to the next 30 years, the future is the great challenge, and I want everyone to feel that they can do something about it, because I think the people feeling they can't do anything about it is a terrible feeling. I built a mechanism where I hope people can join in and participate and do something to try and turn it around. Having created these problems, working together is the only way to find a solution.
It's a marvellous thing to have done, and I congratulate you enormously on a wonderful achievement and a major, major worldwide effect from that thing that you thought about 30 years ago. Another 30 years. Congratulations to you.
Well, thank you, Sir David. But may I also say that you were, perhaps unknowingly, but you were instrumental in the inspiration behind it.
It's an astonishing thing to have done, and I really do congratulate you unreservedly.
Well, thank you very much.
At this time is quite lonely. It can be a lonely business worrying about the planet. What Edward Whitley has done is create a family that all care about the planet and care about each other. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet this remarkable man, Edward Whitley.
Thank you very much, Kate and Tom. You're impossible to live up to. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, looking back over 30 years, the overwhelming lesson I've learned is the vital importance of partnerships. As I explained to Sir David, the Whitley Award started off as family and friends. My family, Araminta, Ella, Honor, Josie and Ned, they were the inspiration to do something. My parents, my sister Vivian, my brother Jeremy, they've then and ever since provided the critical support to get that something off the ground. At an early award ceremony, whilst I was actually giving my speech, I remember seeing one guest reading the programme. Back then it was just a single sheet, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw him turn it over and look for something, rather like someone at a restaurant turning over the menu, looking for something more appetizing, more substantial. There was nothing there. So afterwards, I went up to him, and he said, it's all fine, pointing to the £15,000 that we were so thrilled to have raised and presented. But he said, in order to make something of this, you need to add at least 2 zeros. And with his finger, he drew 2 zeros in the air, right under my nose. 2 zeros. Well, from £15,000, I could barely see our way to £20,000. 1 zero would be £150,000. A second zero, £1.5 million. This seemed utterly pie in the sky. Well, the adjectives obstinate, stubborn, even mulish are all compliments my family sometimes pay me. And they sometimes congratulate me on actually exemplifying these characteristics. And so we plodded on. And then help began to come over the horizon. First along came James Teacher, John Lang, Claudio Zegre, and then really most significantly, and for over 25 years now, Catherine Folkes joined forces with us. And with her unique blend of unstinting hard work, hospitality, and her extensive generosity, which rubs off on everyone around her, Catherine's helped to build this charity to the extent it now is, which was frankly unimaginable then. Now, this is where partnerships truly combine together. These come in many shapes. You'll hear about the winners tonight, and they're one very visible part of our partnership. Many of them are joining us by video stream tonight, and some of them have even got together to watch together. There's other partnerships. These include time and expertise. And the films you'll see tonight, so brilliantly made by Harry and Laura Marshall and their magical icon team, they're made under intense time pressure. They're pieced together with all kinds of footage, often using just mobile phones. And truly, like Rumpelstiltskin, Harry and his team spin straw into pure gold. There's our ambassadors, Robin Russell, who together with Jeremy and Britta Lloyd and Patrick and Sarah Wills are matching every pound raised this week. Now, in the fine print, there is a limit, but Robin's got nerves of steel, and I think we'll probably test them. There's Alistair Fothergill, Wild Isles, and Alistair, what to say? You've taken that to a new extent. I mean, hats off to you. This evening, we're delighted to welcome Danny Denise as our new ambassador. After wowing audiences around the world, Dan is shortly starring once again in the West End. Catch it if you can. Aspects of Love until November. Tom and Kate, thank you so much, because you so generously give your time amidst your schedules of radio, television, publishing. You are so generous, and you compare this evening, there's no other word for it, with complete, dazzling panache. And we are so grateful to you. There's our trustees, Catherine, Ian, Francis, Dino, and of course Sir David, who contributes his time to narrate our films. And given the immense pressure on her diary, it's a profound tribute to our patron, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, that she has never missed a ceremony in the 23 years which she's been our patron. So this generous, this informed, dynamic commitment, it inspires us all and it brings us all together. And I think this is most evident amongst all our donors and all of you here tonight. You so kindly come. You've done over so many years. You bring your own families, your next generation. You listen carefully to our winners, and you kindly provide vital funds. Because bearing in mind we've got no capital of our own, none of this work that you see would be possible without you. We started off as family and friends, and that's how we've stayed. And that's actually our strength. With all these partnerships, you have enabled us to add those 2 missing zeros. Now, within our dedicated team, we've been blessed with great talent, including our directors, starting with Louise, then Louisa, Georgina, Danny, and this year led by Victoria, while Dan is on maternity leave. I'd like to pay tribute to those who helped us in earlier years during their lifetime, who gave us such a leg up when we needed it most. That's James Teacher, William and Frank Brake, Trevor Shears and Uncle Dog and Auntie Rosie. They all live on through their wonderful, committed families who are here with us. So it's back on this history, so it's on the back of this history that we welcome our 2023 winners. We feel so privileged to have you with us. We look forward to extending these partnerships to include you. Now this year, there's another charity celebrating 30 years as well. When I first met them in 1990, Claudio and Susanna Padua had given up their life in Rio and they were living in a shack in the forest. Later, profiled by Time as amongst the most influential leaders, they inspired me to set up these awards. They've successfully built up their charity called Ipe, which is named after the Brazilian national tree. After Claudia was an early award winner, we're proud to have funded 4 more winners from the Ipe team. We're thrilled Claudia and Susanna, their daughter Joanna, are with us here tonight, and a lifetime of congratulations to you. Claudia and Susanna, I can see you. And finally, I'd like to thank my wonderful wife, Araminta, for walking this journey with me over these 30 years. As most of my family know, Araminta is much better at navigating than I am. We'll still disagree about the best way home this evening, I'm sure. I think there's a lot to be said for Cromwell Road, but hey. At every turning point, Araminta has helped make key decisions. Together, we set out to do what we could to try to conserve this world for the next generation. All of us here have the future in mind. We're each united by determination to protect our beautiful world with its natural habitat, its local communities, and its wildlife. And in terms of working together to pass on a long-term sustainable future, this is the ultimate partnership. And so we dedicate all these awards to the next generation. Thank you all so much for your magnificent support in making this happen. You've all made a 30-year-old dream come to life. And I'd like to conclude with one message. We've had so many emails from all our winners around the world in this week building up to tonight. And this one from Jime, from Bolivia, says it all. To all of you in that big hall in the Royal Geographical Society, it's that time of year when all of us are looking forward to welcoming new members of this wonderful family. This year has 30 additional reasons to celebrate. 30 years of making a difference, 30 years of building up capacity, 30 years of helping this crazy bunch of conservationists to reach our dreams and to help our planet. I know that many of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your commitment to save the world. Big hugs from Jime and all the bears in Bolivia. So thanks. Tom and Kate, back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Edward. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, including those of you who are joining us from around the world via live stream, please follow us on social media. It's at Whitley Awards, and use the hashtag Partners for Planet, because as Edward said so eloquently, tonight is all about the extraordinary power of partnerships.
Well, Kate and I are very proud to represent WFN as ambassadors, which we've done for quite a few years now. It is, as you've heard, an extremely effective charity whose niche is finding and supporting local leaders who are best placed to carry out conservation work in their own home countries. Tonight is the culmination of a global search to find these leaders who you'll hear from this evening. The Whitley Awards champion those who are dedicating their lives to protecting wildlife and ecosystems in partnership with local communities. Through them, WFN funds the expansion of sustainable and evidence-based solutions that are rooted in science.
Now, this year's winners have already had a very busy week, haven't you? They've received media and communications training. They've met with donors, with other NGO contacts and their country ambassadors, and they've been interviewed by journalists. And all of this is really important because it's designed to help them really capitalise on the increased visibility that comes with winning a Whitley Award. And it provides them with the connections needed to grow their work and, crucially, their impact.
I can vouch for that because wearing my other hat, I did interview one as a journalist earlier today. So you saw the telly. So that is most certainly true. And on that note, we are thrilled to introduce tonight's 6 new Whitley Award winners who will each receive £40,000 in project funding to support their crucial work for wildlife. So, our first 2023 Whitley Award winner is Juliana Bedoya, who is protecting seabirds from invasive species on Mexico's islands.
At the beginning, my inspiration were the islands themselves. I was amazed by how a small piece of land could hold such a large amount of diversity. They are so magnificent and at the same time such fragile ecosystems.
The islands of Mexico and their surrounding seas provide crucial breeding and foraging habitat for 1/3 of all seabird species worldwide. Project Director Juliana Bedoya and her team at Conservación de Islas work tirelessly to conserve these unique islands.
Millions of stone petals of 3 different species fly and call all over the islands. You can hear the rapid movements of their wings. The nocturnal seabirds are so mysterious. They visit the islands only at night when they are breeding in burrows or among rocks, so they are very difficult to see. I feel it's my duty to protect them.
In the past, several island seabird colonies were decimated by invasive mammals. But thanks to Juliana and her team, San Benito Oeste and Natividad Islands, among 23 others, are now invasive mammal-free, with previously locally extinct seabird populations recovered. Working with the small fishing communities who also call these islands home, biosecurity protocols were introduced to ensure these vital ecosystems remain safe havens.
The communities have always been involved in all our projects. We began using art and culture to explore the relationship communities had with their surrounding environment, to promote a sense of belonging and pride in these unique ecosystems.
In 2021, Juliana created a community leadership group to involve fishers' wives in conservation efforts, educating them on bird identification, biosecurity, and the biodiversity significance of their home.
With the Whitley Award funding, we will continue to monitor the breeding success of these nocturnal seabirds while building up local capacity to ensure invasive species don't return to the islands.
By training new community members and collaborating with fishing cooperatives, Juliana and her all-female team will work towards a sustainable future where local people can lead on the protection of their islands.
For conservation to succeed, the local communities must be empowered as stewards of their land and resources.
Good evening. I learned to snorkel when I was 12 years old, where I found a new sense of freedom and connection. This experience was life-changing for me. As a city girl living in central Mexico, from that moment on, I knew I wanted to become a marine biologist. Later, I fell in love with the islands. That led me to my work with nocturnal species, the most mysterious creatures I know. This work has been very rewarding. I remember a rescue mission. During one bad tropical storm, that flooded many storm petal nests where most chicks did not survive. We improvised a nursery and then returned them to their nest. Months later, when we saw that all surviving chicks had been successfully raised by their parents, I felt an enormous sense of pride and joy. This experience has been deeply impacted me, and knowing that Mexican islands are unique sites for these birds motivates me to do everything I can do to conserve them. Fortunately, I'm not alone. I am supported by my organization, my wonderful team, and now a local group of committed women. Together, thanks to the Whitley Award, we will continue creating life-changing experiences in these women's communities, protecting our beautiful islands and their seabirds. I would like to thank all of them, my family and friends who inspire me every day, and our partners who have supported us for 25 years. Gracias.
Thank you, Luliana. Our next award goes to Albert Salamgariev, who is searching for solutions for critically endangered saiga antelope and the people in Kazakhstan.
To survive in the deserts and dry, grassy plains of Central Asia, the saiga antelope's bulbous nose has adapted to filter out summer dust and warm the freezing desert air during winter. Project coordinator at the Association for the Conservation of Biodiversity of Kazakhstan, Albert Salamgariev has dedicated his career to the protection of this Ice Age surviving antelope.
They have a special energy, such a power of life. The words cannot do it justice.
While hunting and human disruption of their habitat left saiga on the brink of extinction, in 2015, more than half of the world's remaining saiga died within a few weeks due to a bacteria linked with temperature rises.
It was a horrible picture seeing so many dead animals in one place. I still have this picture in my mind, which makes me want to do more to save the species.
Working with the Royal Veterinary College and the Food and Agriculture Organization, Albert and his team developed a framework for detecting and reacting to future wildlife disease outbreaks. To further protect saiga populations and their unique grassland habitat, Albert's research has contributed to the creation of 3.5 million hectares of protected land. A global success story, Kazakhstan's saiga population has made a spectacular recovery, now numbering over 1.3 million. But the increasing saiga population is now seen as direct competition by pastoralists for the region's natural resources, threatening local livelihoods and escalating human-wildlife conflict. With his Whitley Award, Albert and his team will work to better understand the emerging conflict and identify solutions. They will map and evaluate the region's major water resources and combine this with data on livestock and saiga distribution to identify conflict hotspots. Using drones, camera traps and data loggers to monitor the hotspots, the team will combine this scientific evidence with stakeholder engagement to reach a deeper understanding of the problem, informing future conservation strategies.
We are working with local residents because it's not only about trust in our activities, but also to involve and give the local residents ownership in their nature conservation.
With Albert's dedication, there is hope that sustainable solutions that benefit all life on Kazakhstan's grasslands are within reach.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I feel so fortunate to be here and humble to have an opportunity to share my story. Since I was a child, I was fascinated by nature. My small village in the steppe in the central Kazakhstan, close to the Narzum Nature Reserve. Every week, I would walk 10 kilometers in one way to be close to the nature, to watch, to listen, to learn. In Narzum, I was fortunate to find a wonderful mentor, researchers and the reserve scientist. He showed me nature treasures, including incredible saiga antelopes. With this moment, I became a conservationist. At university, I began studying the elusive saiga, almost driven by extinction, by poaching. A relic from the Ice Age and a cultural symbol from my ancestors, who were nomadic people. My first job took me back to the vast steppe grassland and the big skies. I dared to dream that the saiga antelope will return, so that again they would roam in the steppe in their millions. I joined to our conservation initiative in 2007, and that dream has come true. Thank you for the Whitley Fund for Nature, for honoring me, my colleagues, particularly Vera Voronova, Mark Day, and especially my understanding and loving wife, Jana. They have always been with me, inspiring me. I promise to continue to learn, to contribute as much as I can, including mentoring next generation. Thank you, Rahmet.
Thank you very much indeed, Albert. Extraordinary looking animals, and it is worth bearing in mind that the struggles he's dealing with at the moment are entirely because of his success in conservation so far, in huge respect. Right, next, let's hear from Serge Alexei Kamgang, who is fostering coexistence between lions and people in Cameroon's Benue ecosystem.
There are many reasons I love the Benue ecosystem. We have elephant, hyena, leopard, giraffe, hippopotamus.
2023 Whitley Award winner Serge Alexis Kamgon works within Cameroon's Benue ecosystem.
It is actually the hotspot of lion in Central and West Africa.
A vast 30,000 square kilometre savanna environment, it's a landscape rich in biodiversity. But the region faces severe threats from habitat loss and poaching. And today, new tensions are rising. Human migration to the area is growing, and with increasing numbers of livestock within Benue National Park. Human-wildlife conflict is on the rise as lions encounter pastoralists and kill their livestock. The impact on both people and lions is devastating.
What I want to achieve is to build a better future where human and wildlife can coexist through inclusive conservation.
Serge and his NGO, BEDD, lead the only lion conservation program in the region, monitoring populations and working with local stakeholders. To reduce human-wildlife conflict, young community members are trained as lion guards, who work with park staff to monitor lion and cattle movements, document livestock loss, and warn herders when lions are nearby. With his Whitley Award, Serge will engage 6 additional lion guards and further strengthen the capacity of national park staff to reduce pressures on the region's wildlife.
My team are behind me, pushing me to go further.
Awareness campaigns will increase local understanding of lion conservation, and community members will be trained in lion data collection technology to further inform conservation strategy in Cameroon.
We feel confident that with an integrated approach based on community, we can safeguard the Benue ecosystem and have a better future for our lions.
Good evening to everyone. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen. One of 5 children, our childhood was interrupted by the early death of our father. My uncle helped me to finish my education, which was a blessing. As Spider-Man says, with great education comes great responsibility. I always had great commitment toward my family, community, and country to make my word count. You can imagine my pride tonight, years later, to talk to you in my 3rd language about my contribution to the conservation of my country's national animal, the lion. Lions are flagship for all biodiversity. Who roar? Sends a chill down your spine. Lions play a critical role in our culture. I'm not sure how many football fans are here, but in Cameroon, you can see everywhere T-shirts of indomitable lions, our national team. The Whitley Award will allow my team to continue building trust with community, to deliver a future with lions. Every day, I feel that I meet my duty towards lion conservation with the support of my government, colleagues, donors, local community, and family, and that makes me fulfilled. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Serge. I'm afraid I'm fresh out of animal impressions. I don't know if you've got any there. I wouldn't want to compete anyway. Right. What's great about these awards is they're about so much more than just funding. Winning elevates the profile of the winners, which gets them press coverage and opens political doors. Many go on to receive further international accolades. And just this week, for example, past winner Zafer Kizilkaya from Turkey has received the Goldman Environmental Prize in the US. Crucially, winners are able to raise further funding off the back of their win here, meaning our donors' funds are leveraged many times over.
Those of you who have attended these awards before will know that I bang on ceaselessly about how extraordinarily efficient WFN is as a charity. It's run by a tiny but brilliant team, and by keeping overheads so low means that the funding really does go directly to where it's most needed. It is really used well, such as to our next winner, who is Tulsi Laxmi Suwal, who's working with communities to save Chinese pangolin in their habitat in Nepal.
Deep in Bagmati province, Nepal, lives a unique mammal known as the guardian of the forest, and a woman who has dedicated her life to its protection.
When I saw pangolin in real life, I stand still with my eyes and mouth wide open. The movement is still unforgettable for me.
Tulsi Lakshmi Suwal is a true pangolin pioneer. After founding the Small Mammals Conservation and Research Foundation in 2009, Tulsi conducted the first PhD research study on pangolins in Nepal to improve local understanding of this most industrious of creatures. Pangolins protect forest areas from termite destruction, yet forest fires are destroying their homes. These endangered animals are also the most trafficked mammal in the world. Addressing these threats at a local level, Tulsi and her team run conservation awareness campaigns and educational workshops.
We are hoping to change people's attitude.
Working closely with local communities and government officials, Tulsi's organization has facilitated pangolin rescue and release. In a traditionally male-dominated field, Tulsi's dedication has helped inspire a group of new leaders in Nepal.
They call me pangolin woman. I have impacted women to conduct their dissertation on pangolin. Women are now willing to lead and advocate for the local level conservation of pangolin.
With Whitley Award funding, Tulsi's work can expand its reach. Community pangolin conservation groups will be formed, with members trained on species monitoring and forest fire control. Seed money will be given to 100 households through community microfinance, improving local livelihoods while reducing pressures on the forest.
Our major goal is to motivate local communities to take ownership of pangolin conservation at local level.
Tulsi's devotion has engaged people in her homeland and beyond. Her dedication ensures a future for the pangolin.
Namaste, Your Royal Highness, distinguished guests. I am honored to be celebrating my dedication to pangolin conservation. I felt sad when I saw pangolin body parts and scales sold in markets, despite pangolin being protected by national laws. That started my journey for the conservation of this innocent species. As you can see me, I come from an indigenous community. It's hard for all women to complete their education and follow their passion if they get married. But I was able to do because I am a descendant of brave Gorkhas. Over my 15 years in conservation, I have always felt strong similarity to the Chinese pangolin. With its dark brown scale, flat nose, carrying a baby on its back, just like I did. So I have close bond with this helpless animal. The recognition from this award will make all the differences for the sustainable conservation of this species and habitat. Thanks to the Whitley Fund for Nature, my family, colleagues, mentors, partners, and local communities, especially females and youths, who have joined hands with us for pangolin conservation. Thank you very much.
Given those facts and figures, the pangolin really is an animal under siege, and thank goodness it has an extraordinary protector like Tulsi. Now we travel to Madagascar to hear from Mami Razafitsalama, who is protecting forests, local livelihoods, and lemurs.
People travel from all over the world to see the unique biodiversity in Madagascar. The Malagasy giant chameleon, the leaf-tailed gecko, the giraffe-necked weevil. Many fauna are only found in Madagascar, including lemurs.
2023 Whitley Award winner Mami Razafitsalama works in Ankarafantsika National Park, North Madagascar.
We have more than 110 lemur species. The Indri, the Madame Bird's mouse, the sifaka. On the ground, they are very awkward, but people come from around the world to see the lemur dance.
Director of Planet Madagascar, Mami has dedicated his career to protecting the wildlife of his homeland. No easy task. In the last 50 years, the island has lost nearly half of its natural forest cover due to logging, slash and burn agriculture, grazing and fires, with devastating effects on its lemur population.
105 species are critically endangered or vulnerable. That's 95%.
With imminent extinction on the horizon, action had to be taken.
Rural communities rely on natural resources to feed their family day to day to survive. We have to find a solution that works for lemurs, forests, and people.
By employing local community members and facilitating livelihood projects, Planet Madagascar is reducing local poverty and alleviating pressure on the forest. Since 2015, the organisation has run a community-based fire management programme, training local people to monitor the forest and create fire breaks. A true grassroots leader, Mami puts collaboration with local communities front and centre in his fight to save the lemurs. With Whitley Award funding, he and his team will scale up their protection of the national park.
The local community finally understands the importance of protecting lemur habitat.
Without people like Mami safeguarding our planet, we stand to lose so much.
My work is very important, not only for local community, but also for the next generation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I grew up in a small village on the east coast of Madagascar. As a boy, I had a passion for wildlife, and I was always fascinated by the lemurs that I saw in the forest near my village. I used to watch them leaping from the tree to tree and felt a sense of wonder at how graceful they moved through the canopy. There are many people living in small communities in my country, and many don't know that lemurs are only found in Madagascar and nowhere else on the planet. They don't realize that lemurs are the most endangered group of animals on the world. Also, they don't protect them because they are struggling to survive. So, to protect lemurs, we must consider the need of people. And that's why I've made it my mission to work with them. Thank you very much to Whitley Funds for Nature. I dedicate this award to the local communities in and around Ankara-Fanska National Parks, and to all communities in Madagascar and beyond. I couldn't do this work by myself. I'm supported by an amazing team and family. Now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to do something for our future. Together, we can make change that will benefit the people and wildlife. Mr. Betsaka, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mummy. You are right. Now is the time. Last, but certainly not least, we have Leonard Akwan, who is working with fishermen and women to secure a long-term sustainable future for them, their livelihoods, and the aquatic species of Lake Victoria in Kenya.
This lake is part and parcel of my DNA, is part and parcel of my life and my culture.
Bordered by Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, Lake Victoria is so big you can see it from space.
I used to go and fish in the lake with a sharp spear and just pierce through the water, and then there we have fish. We could go with a basket and we have fish jumping into your bucket. It is this lost glory that through our conservation work we want to revive and restore.
Lake Victoria native Leonard Akwan founded EcoFinder Kenya to address the growing issues facing the lake and its surrounding communities. Globally, the population of freshwater species has declined by 83%, and Lake Victoria is no exception. Today, more than half of its 500 native species are locally extinct.
The fish are disappearing because of pollution of the lake, because of overfishing, because of the encroachment of the breeding sites. If there is less fish, the people who suffer.
With so many livelihoods tied to Lake Victoria's rapidly dwindling fish population, change was desperately needed. After receiving a WFN Associate Award in 2009, Leonard and his team led local education and livelihood initiatives, eventually increasing protection over 5,000 acres of wetlands. Working with volunteers, EcoFinder Kenya promotes conservation agriculture and ecotourism as alternatives to fishing.
We are working collectively, and by protecting the fishery resources, these communities are securing their livelihoods. The impact we have had is enormous.
Now, with his Whitley Award, Leonard and his team will establish a network of community-managed fish reserves, including protected fish breeding zones covering an area of 1,400 square kilometers.
The community is at the center of what we are doing. They are at the front line, and we are working together as a team to conserve this lake for now and for the future.
Leonard and his team will increase the capacity of 5 community beach management units to reduce unsustainable fishing practices by 60%, and will continue to champion alternative green livelihoods to reduce fishing pressure on Lake Victoria.
My perfect Lake Victoria is where the wetlands are intact, where those who are fishing are using proper fishing gear, where the species diversity is high and the population is stabilized. That is my perfect Lake Victoria.
Her Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy and excited to be receiving a Whitley Award. I am a fisherman and a native of Lake Victoria which is known for its rich inland fisheries. Growing up around Lake Victoria, I enjoyed its scenic beauty, swimming in its cool waters and eating its delicious and nutritious fish, specifically the native one called ngege, or the native tilapia. And to imagine that this will no longer be there for my community, for my children and grandchildren, keeps me awake and motivated to do something. Restoration of fisheries is not only critical in terms of freshwater biodiversity, food security, and secure livelihoods, but critical in empowering our women, as less fish means more gender-based violence. And that is why local women are strong supporters of our fisheries conservation work. I want to thank Whitley Fund for Nature, as this award will support establishment of community fish reserves, build the capacity of fisher-folk communities, and enable alternative livelihoods. It will also build my team's capacity to deliver on their field projects. Finally, I want to thank the fisher-folk communities and my team as they keep me fired with their community service spirit. Together, we are restoring and conserving the national heritage, which is Lake Victoria. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Leonard. A little glimpse there into the extraordinary collateral benefits that can come with effective conservation. Well, for now, to say congratulations to all of our 2023 Whitley Award winners.
And we hope that you feel inspired after hearing from tonight's winners. If you don't, I don't know what else we could do. And I really hope that you believe that together we can protect and restore nature. We can help heal our home and our planet.
Well, you may have heard about the COP15, the International Nature Protection Summit, towards the end of last year. But the winners you've seen tonight, and all of WFN's winners around the globe, are the ones who are really working to make these ambitions a reality. They show us that with perseverance and collective effort, our natural world can recover.
And now, to hand out the trophies to this year's winners, please welcome on stage to present the 2023 awards, patron of the Whitley Fund for Nature, Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal.
Our first Whitley Award this evening is the Whitley Award donated by the William Brake Foundation, and the winner is Juliana Bedoya.
The next Whitley Award is the Whitley Award donated by Goldman Sachs Morris Family Foundation, and the winner is Albert Salamgariev.
The following award is the Whitley Award donated by the Corcoran Foundation, and the winner is Serge Alexei Kamgang.
The fourth award is the Whitley Award donated by Anne Rees, and the winner is Tulsi Lakshmi Sural.
Our next award is the Whitley Award donated by the Hempel Foundation, and the winner is Mami Razafetsalama.
And our final 2023 award is the Whitley Award donated by Inigo Insurance. And the winner is Leonard Akwan.
Lastly, we have an extra special award this evening for Claudio and Susana Padua, who you heard mentioned earlier, from the Brazilian NGO IPE, in celebration of 30 years of wonderful partnership with the WFN. Claudio and Susana, WFN would not be where it is today without your friendship and support. Please come and get your presents.
Well done to all our winners. Receiving a Whitley Award is just the start of the journey. Winners can go on to apply for WFN continuation funding grants, which provide vital support to long-term, effective conservation efforts.
Many of the projects we support via continuation funding offer nature-based solutions to address climate change alongside biodiversity loss. And on that note, I'd like to say that the essential emissions from this week's event have become another positive, with offsets funding tree planting alongside community and wildlife benefits in Brazil's Atlantic forest. And this year's winners also join a network of conservationists around the world with whom they can share knowledge, experiences and encouragement. WFN is actively facilitating peer-to-peer trainings and collaborative projects.
The need to channel further funding and support to our network increases each year as new winners come on board, which is why we are so grateful to all those donors who have continued to support us year on year. Your trust in what we do makes literally the world of difference. The WFN partnership if you would like to join the WFN partnership, please consider donating to our match fund tonight, or perhaps talk to the team about how you'd like to get involved. There are some incredible people dedicating their lives to helping our planet. So all benefits and anything that we can do to support them is of incalculable value.
Well, now to tonight's top prize, the Whitley Gold Award. Sir David earlier mentioned a kind of Freemasonry of award winners. To me, these are the Jedi Council. That might just be my cultural references. Anyway, the Gold Award represents the pinnacle of the WFN journey, with the recipient being a past Whitley Award winner who's gone on to receive continuation funding. Worth £100,000 and donated by the Friends of WFN, the Gold Award supports large-scale projects, and Gold Award winners join the WFN judging panel and act as mentors to new winners. Let's see who's receiving this year's prize.
I started with very little idea of what I was doing. I had no plan. I didn't know how I would do things. I didn't know when I would do things. But the why was very clear. Lions were disappearing across my country, and that's really what pushed me forward.
Dr. Shivani Bala is the 2023 Whitley Gold Award winner. She has lived and worked with her team in Samburu County, northern Kenya, for over 20 years.
Lions and Samburu communities have coexisted for generations. It's not new, but it's getting so much harder.
Today, unprecedented habitat loss and severe drought due to climate change forces human-lion conflict to the surface.
Lions would often go after camels, cows, donkeys belonging to the communities.
With livelihoods at stake, communities understandably do whatever they can to protect their livestock.
There's so much anger and resentment that lions would often be shot in retaliation, and that's really how Iwaso Lions began.
Founded in 2007, Iwaso Lions is a 100% Kenyan organization which prioritizes community-led solutions to foster continued coexistence between lions and people, with local Samburu like Generia Lakilele in leadership roles.
We need to bring my culture to lion conservation, to use that knowledge that we use to kill them, to protect them.
In 2013, Iwaso Lions formed the Mama Simba initiative. Led by a Samburu woman, the program empowers other women through conservation education and action, including digging water holes for wildlife and recovering lion habitat. Investing in a new generation of conservationists, the Lions Kids Camp program has helped reframe the way local children see their country's wildlife through positive engagement for over a decade. In 2014, Shivani became a Whitley Award winner, receiving funding to grow the Warrior Watch program.
Warrior Watch track where the lions are very carefully. When the community release their livestock, it updates the community where the lions are.
The Warrior Watch network mitigates human-lion conflict with Samburu warriors like Kazian Leringato, monitoring lion populations and promoting carnivore coexistence within his community. Further WFN continuation funding for Warrior Watch has helped it to grow with a new generation of warriors engaged in 2021. After nearly 2 decades of hard work, Iwaso Lion's success has been astonishing. Not only has the local lion population stabilized in the last 10 years, but 2022 was a record year for lion numbers in the area. Covering 3 national reserves and 11 community conservancies, Iwaso Lion's community-led programs now span over 4,500 square kilometers. Local leadership in conservation has long been recognized as important for enduring success, but globally this type of leadership is rare. With her Whitley Gold Award, Shivani and her team will expand their impact to ensure decision-making happens at a local level across the world.
By working with other Whitley awardees, we're going to put together a community-led toolkit and framework. And through this, we're going to catalyze a global movement in community-led conservation.
The Samburu culture, we are so much connected with wildlife. We believe if a lion roars, that's a good sign of hope.
This is their home, this is their land, and by having the communities lead conservation efforts, we have a future for wildlife.
Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to close your eyes for a few moments and listen to silence. For so many months, all I could hear was silence. The sound of the river near our camp, the sound of the speckled pigeon in the roof of my house, the sound of the impala's alarm calling when they saw a lion, the sound of the bells on cows in the nearby village. None of this could be heard. We were in a severe drought, a prolonged drought that felt never-ending. And this is the face of climate change. We see, we feel, we hear these signs every single day. And I see it on the faces of our team, faces in anguish after they have lost another cow to the drought. These challenges are not unique to northern Kenya. As you have heard from our Whitley Award winners today, the challenges are immense. The world is facing a biodiversity crisis. People often ask me, Shivani, how do you stay positive and still have hope after everything you've seen? Over the past 2 decades, I have seen our team of warriors stop the killing of lions hundreds of times. I have seen our Mama Simba ladies go out and dig water holes for wildlife. Loigopa, a male lion, was digging for water himself in the dry riverbed. The Mama Simbas went out and dug for him. I have seen our communities come and clear out invasive species that are displacing indigenous trees that are so important to lions and their habitat and to the cultures of our communities. This is community-led conservation. And this is what gives me a lot of hope. Building on the successes of our community-led initiatives and working with Whitley alumni from all around the world, I am so excited that through this Whitley Gold Award project, we will grow this movement in community-led conservation. I know our land will recover. I know the river will flow once again. I know the impalas will return to our camp. And I know the cows will come back home. And that speckled pigeon will return to the roof of my house and wake me up every morning. And I know that our team will smile once again. I can't tell you how happy I am that at this very moment, our team is watching and sharing this moment with you, following the live stream in our camp in Samburu. And not just that, 6 of our team are here to share this moment with all of you today. Please join me in welcoming the Iwaso Lions team. No matter what is happening in northern Kenya, no matter what challenges we face, there's one person who never stops smiling. Please join me in welcoming Jenaria.
Thank you, Chief. I am a Samburu from northern Kenya. We live together with wildlife in the same landscape with our livestock. Wildlife is part of our culture. Although they are a part of our culture, I grew up hating lions, and I hate lions. But when I realized that lions are disappearing, I really changed, and I love lions so much now. They are a part of my family now. They are a part of my life. I even have my favorite ones, like a lioness called Nanai, mean mine. That when she's sick, injured, I will never say I will do it tomorrow. Whatever it takes, I have to help her immediately. And that's why I strongly believe and say lions, all our wildlife are in my hands, are in my community hands for the next generation, for my children, for our children, for your children. Thank you so much.
I look at our extraordinary team here, and I think back to all the communities in northern Kenya who still continue to live alongside wildlife and have so much courage to do so. I think about all the Kenyan conservationists who have dedicated their lives to protect our country's wildlife. And I look at this inspiring group of Whitley Award winners. And I'm absolutely certain that conservation will continue to be a way of life. I ask you to join us in a small blessing to celebrate the conservationists who are working so hard around the world to protect our biodiversity. Francis, our Samburu elder, will go ahead with a blessing.
Let's pray. Mother Yada Madara Mother Yongai. Madara Mother Yongai. Ratio Yongishon. Nikita Yene. Onugutumore.
Thank you so much from all of us to our friends and family and the extraordinary Whitley Fund for Nature. Ashe Oleng.
Ashe Oleng.
Wow. I couldn't think of a more fitting and inspirational Gold Award winner for WFN's 30th anniversary. Thank you and congratulations to Shivani and your wonderful team. I would like to invite to welcome the patron of WFN, Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal, to give you your richly deserved award.
Many, many well-deserved congratulations to Shivani and the Owasso Lions. I'm sure you will all agree with me that if there were ever a world president, can we make it Shivani? Ideally tomorrow. And now I'd like to invite the Princess Royal to say a few words. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's always a dangerous invitation to say a few words after listening to those winners, because what else could I possibly add, except for my congratulations and thanks for all you have done and continue to do. But also after the fact that we're celebrating 30 years worth of achievements, that does open the door to a few memories and travels, but I'll try not to be too distracted. But it is worth celebrating the fact that this event, these awards, this identification of the award winners has now reached that 30 years, and to reflect on the numbers of those people and where they are and just how much they've achieved. Now that's using local solutions, partly their own skills and their own understanding, but also understanding the impact on global diversity and the climate's changing, but working on the latest science as well. And that's underpinning all of that is their own passions, igniting those programs and working with the whole of their communities, even the ones, as you've just heard, may not have been overly keen on that particular individual species before it started. And we can't blame them for that. It was a really difficult challenge. So 3 decades, huge opportunities to measure the impact of what these individual winners have been doing. That's really nice to be able to do. So welcoming this year's winners to our family of over 200 who all inspired as leaders. And as we have enjoyed the impact that their predecessors have made, we look forward to watching the impact of today's winners and the achievements that they will continue to do over the years. The phrase was stewards of their land and resources. I think that applies to all of our winners and the communities that they lead. But my goodness, it doesn't happen without leaders who understand both the problem and have a solution that can be agreed and supported across that community. Part of this success, and it's the thing that we perhaps ought to underline most tonight, is the partnerships that have been created and how important that has been to work successfully and collectively across the world. The leadership that came through our individual winners, but also here from Edward Whitley and his team, that underpins our looking towards the future for the next 30 years. Because it is only together with those partnerships, building on the ones we already had, but increasing those partnerships, that we will continue to make a real impact on the issues that face so many communities, but the success of those projects made an impact globally. So those 200 alumni work across 80 different countries, and it's the connection between all of them that makes this such an exciting group of people, and that they have learnt, wherever they are, to make the best possible use of the technology that is available to help them do that communication, to help them support each other, but also encourage others to follow in their footsteps. So particularly tonight, we think about how we can enable this charity to channel further support to that network and our future winners. And the target this year is to raise £2.3 million. And that sounds a lot, but you'll be pleased to hear we're almost there. However, there usually is, tonight is an important part of this success. So all the donations received this evening and in the coming weeks, up to £80,000 worth, will be generously matched through our Partners for Planet Matched Fund. So all of your efforts can be doubled on just that arrangement, more partnership. So to those donors who've already been on this journey with us, thank you so much for your continued support and for your help to reach these targets that keep rising pretty well every year, and you have risen to those challenges. But also to our guests for joining us tonight and hopefully wanting to be more part of that journey. And I would like to thank all of you, but particularly Whitley, for inviting me to become your patron, to join you on this journey. It has been a real pleasure, and I won't go back over all of the influences and the reasons which I thought this was so important. Save the Children had quite a lot to do with it in terms of its observation about communities, their strengths, challenges they faced, and how to better support them. And I really do wish Whitley had been around much earlier in my association with Save the Children, because I think we could have made a bigger difference. But to all of those who supported over the 30 years, I hope you're all very proud of what you've achieved. And the new donors have been inspired by your contribution and wish to follow that. All of you will have your reasons for getting involved. I hope most of it will have come from those individual winners and the inspiration that they have given, particularly when they come up on this stage. There could be individuals. Mine were probably my father, Gerald Durrell, and Edward, for just getting an organisation that had that scope of the realities, understanding the realities of getting funding to where it was needed and how you could achieve that. And it has been an absolute pleasure to meet so many of the winners over the years. And I've also been fortunate enough to visit some of their projects and see, and not just the projects, but meet so many of those in the community who make it possible for those to be a success. The difference they have made, not just to themselves, as I said, to that global ambition to truly make a difference, has been astonishing. And the WFN Awards are the people on the ground. They're the sharp end. They're the front line of anything that is likely to make a difference for the desires that we have to make real changes in our conservation of wildlife and everything that goes with it. And I hope that all of you agree that it's all very well to be here and understand what we think of the challenges and want to make a difference. But when you meet the people who are actually out front and can turn that into a reality, it's a real inspiration. And it has our real gratitude and thanks that there are those people who genuinely go the extra mile to make that difference with their own communities, in their own environment, where these things are not an easy choice. They have lives and lifestyles which live so close to nature that that balance between who is successful and who isn't are very close. So to understand there is a real reason for looking after the lions, for looking after the lemurs, the pangolins, who somehow got involved in the much more modern scale of activities, which are a real threat to them. We are grateful that there are so many people out there who are prepared to make that difference. You've already heard that we believe, I think quite rightly, that it's one of the most cost-effective and direct impact charities anywhere. And I hope that's something that also inspires our donors to understand that what they give us will make a difference, and it will all make a difference. So thank you to all of those who've joined us. As I say, it is a journey. This has only been 30 years. We know there's a lot more to do. We know there's a lot more support we can offer our winners. We know that there are people out there who will be inspired by this year's winners to continue to make a difference. So in thanking the generosity of our donors, so that we can continue the appropriate support and even greater support to the projects that will benefit wildlife, climate and people, it would be very remiss of me if I also didn't take this opportunity to add my thanks and congratulations to Edward, his family, and Catherine Fuchs for their extraordinary vision and for their ability to turn that vision into a reality that so many of you have joined us and so many of you have fulfilled all of those ideals. That doesn't finish here, but Edward, don't underestimate the real difference that you and your team have made. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness, and congratulations again to all our 2023 winners. You're not just forces of nature, you're forces for nature, and you are, as ever, inspirational and wonderful, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I'd also like to thank our wonderful donors who, of course, make these awards possible. You really are powers for good. I have just one more thing to add, which is that the 30th anniversary celebrations don't stop here. This November, WFN will be holding a series of special events together with our winners and our supporters. So if you would like to be involved in those, please stay tuned for more updates, because we'd love to see you all there.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this evening and that it's filled you with some conservation optimism and maybe the urge to dip into your bank account. No quantity too big or too small. Anyway, after the royal party depart, please do join us upstairs for our reception. But from Kate and me and the Whitley Fund for Nature team, thank you very much indeed.
And good night.